Hey guys, it's Freedom91, and I'm talking about AJ. The one that Clem has to look after, like Lee looked after Clem. Now, if you read the title, some of you may be confused, so I'll just explain that. I'm comparing AJ to two comic book characters, Ben and Carl. So I don't mean this Ben. I mean Ben from the comics. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the comics, I'm just going to give a little bit of backstory. Ben is a 5-year-old boy. He is a friend of Carl's and they hang out and stuff. But then one day, Ben decides to kill his twin brother. Yep, he did it. And it seems like he just didn't know exactly what was going on because when he's caught, he's like, don't worry, he'll come back. I didn't touch his brains. So it seems like Ben is confused about the whole like Walker coming back from the dead thing. And he's like, yeah, well, he's dead, but he's coming right back. Don't worry. Now, based on what I've read, Ben shows sociopathic behavior. And basically the crew have to decide what we're going to do with this Ben because he's a 5-year-old, you know? But then Carl, who is Rick's son in the comics and in the series, kills Ben because he sees Ben as a threat. Later on, he goes to kind of not, I don't know, regret it, but he feels guilty. He has like nightmares and things about it, I think, and he admits that Ben was his friend. Now, what does this have to do with AJ? Well, I'm starting to see characteristics of AJ that are both like Carl and Ben, but which ones are more dominant? Is AJ more like Carl or Ben? Well, let's look into it. When AJ kills Marlon, it seems like AJ perceived Marlon as a threat despite the fact that he dropped his gun. Just like Carl saw Ben as a threat, even though Ben wasn't an immediate threat. Carl seemed to just see Ben as a threat to the group. AJ probably saw Marlon as a threat to the group and killed him thinking that, okay, now I've ended the threat. But here's the difference. As I pointed out, Carl felt guilty after what he did to Ben. AJ doesn't seem to feel that at all. AJ actually seems to have no empathy, no guilt, nothing for what he did to Marlon. He seems to be like the kid who is caught doing something wrong, but the kid doesn't know it's wrong yet. So he's like, what? He's like, why are y'all looking at me like that? What? It seems like he didn't expect anyone to be shocked at what he did.
What? I saved one for me.
Just like Ben. And then came this trailer. Yes, and I'm so glad that I didn't do this video before this trailer came out because it gives us a little more insight into this whole possibly sociopathic way that AJ is heading for. When Clem gets up, she sees AJ and he's just looking out the window with this knife. And at one point, as pointed out by someone in the original video's comments, it seems like AJ may even cut himself. He doesn't, but still, he's playing with the knife very eerily right there. Kind of like we see those strange people in movies when they're just like, toying with that knife. Like, what am I going to do with this? But then he gets back into bed and we're reminded he's a little kid again because he's like cuddling with surrogate mom Clementine. But right before the video ends, we see something that kind of shows maybe a little bit more sociopathic way of AJ because AJ, when Clem is going to sleep, at the end we get that eerie music and then AJ facial expressions change because at first when Clem says like you're still little, he seems like a little bit happy and then kind of just says I know, but then all of a sudden his facial expressions change to more serious and his eyes open. And then it cuts. What did that mean? I don't know whether because AJ kind of said he wanted to stay awake because like it was safer than sleeping or something like that. Or it could be because he didn't like Clem calling him too little. Even though he acted like all happy by it, he could have kind of been a little bit like, I don't want to be called little. Just like he doesn't want to be called goofball anymore. I don't know. It was freaky. It was freaky when he opened his eyes and the music played like that. Because I'm not sure why, but got that freaky vibes from him. Also, where'd this knife come from? Because Clementine has the choice to say, like, the knife's new. So it seems like she doesn't know where he got that knife from. Did he make it? Did he steal it from somebody? I don't know. Where'd this knife come from? All of this points out to me that AJ seems more like Ben. And why do I say that? Because Ben doesn't seem to have remorse, doesn't seem to have guilt, and neither does AJ. AJ is a child of the outbreak. It seems like basically he thinks anything that I do is fine. And it seems like he's leading slowly towards that whole sociopathic way, kind of like Ben was showing before Carl killed him. So this leads me to a very weird theory, and I'm just going to leave it at this. If AJ is Ben from the comics, not from the game, who's Carl? Now, I could explain what I mean by that, but I'm just going to leave y'all with that. Now, you guys definitely leave your opinions on this in the comments below. Whether you think he's more like Ben or more like Carl, or maybe a little bit of both, or neither. Tell me about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. May God bless you all.